The very first thing we should cover is why you should use maps in the first place. Parish Online is a mapping tool at its heart, but actually it's a tool to help you communicate with your colleagues and with the public. So in this example, we take this list of benches that we've got here as an example. And this is perfectly valid record of benches. It gives me some IDs and what they are and when it was installed and who the inscription is on it. And that's all fine. But if I was, say, a new clerk or a councillor or a volunteer that needed to go out and inspect these benches, I haven't got a clue where they are. And that's really where a map comes in. So imagine if you could take all of that information and put it into map form. And that's what you can do with Parish Online. So you can add all of these bench records into Parish Online, plot them on the map for where they physically are, and then when you come round to do your inspections or your insurance records, or you want to communicate to someone that, you know, Joe Bloggs' bench is just here, then you can do that and do it in a lot more visual way and in a lot more engaging way. So in my view, and the view of thankfully about 1,400 parishes now, is that this is an easier way to communicate information than through a spreadsheet. Now, the other thing is that spreadsheet might be stored on my computer and I might be the outgoing clerk and I forget to give you that spreadsheet. And all of a sudden, the incoming clerk now has absolutely no foundation at all of where those benches are. So by storing that information in Parish Online, which is a cloud system, you don't have to worry about that. The incoming clerk will have that information in Parish Online ready to roll, and then they can refer to it when they need to. So that's the kind of big overview of why we think you should be using a digital mapping system like Parish Online. And so the rest of this is going to try and persuade you and give you some information on how you can use that for your work. Okay, and from its very foundation, Parish Online started off as, wouldn't it be nice if we could show parishes where their boundaries were? That was the kind of original thing. And it's expanded from there into all areas of how a parish carries out their daily tasks. So I'm not going to labour over all of these, but just absorb them and know that Parish Online can be used in lots of different applications. And it's not just there to be another thing that you've got to worry about. It's there as a tool to help you. So yes, it might be a little bit of an exercise. It might take half an hour or so to plot those benches onto the map, but that's going to reward you later on, because you're going to be able to refer to that, you're going to be able to easily maintain it, you're going to be able to share it with your colleagues and even the public, and it's going to save you lots of time and money later on. And that concept applies to all of these topics here. So Parish Online itself, it's a piece of software, but you don't have to install it. It's all accessed through a web browser. So you can access it on a PC or a Mac, and through Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Edge, whatever you like to use, it's available through there. So there's nothing you have to install or download, it just appears. We try and make it as easy to learn as possible, which is really challenging when you've got lots of different uses of the software and lots of different ways you want to create mapping, and lots of different skill sets. So some people are easy to adapt to computers and some people find it hard. So we put a lot of tutorials and things in as best we can. We try and make the tools as easy to learn as possible. And as a commercial company, it's a subscription service. So we have to charge for this to keep the servers running and to keep Olivia and I in tea and biscuits. And so we offer it on an affordable subscription basis. So Everyone gets the same software, but for the smaller parish councils with a smaller population, you'll be paying a small subscription, and then the town councils who are potentially going to be doing more with the software pay a larger subscription. That scale goes from about £30 a year up to about £1,500 a year, and the average is about £120 a year. Okay, so commented that Parish Online is easy to use. That's subjective, and we're always looking for feedback, but we try and make it as easy as possible to create information. So we've got knowledge bases, we've got videos, and you've also got Olivia and myself on the end of an email support line. So we're there to help you use this to your advantage. And this software exists because we believe in the most local form of government being actually the most powerful and important. And you need the tools that the principal authorities have and central government have. And mapping is a huge part of that. So we're on your side to give you the tools, to give you a bigger podium and a bigger capability to be able to do the things you want to do in your local area. And to do that, you need to have information. Information's power. So as well as the information that you can put into Parish Online yourself, like the benches and like your assets, we also bring in lots of information from other different sources. So we have ordnance survey mapping, land registry polygons, which are kind of areas of land ownership, flooding data, listed buildings, sites of special scientific interest. We put all of that information into Parish Online, so you've got it to hand when you need it. Because again, we know mapping is actually quite a complex, what's the word? Industry, I suppose. We like complicated formats, we like acronyms, and we like to make things as hard as possible. Parish Online is the opposite of that. We've taken all of our nerdy aspects of mapping and make it easy for you. So you can switch on these layers just by clicking a button, instead of having to download a 10 gigabyte file and convert it into a format and then load it in a piece of software. That's all very old fashioned. So Parish Online is there to give you that repository of information. Okay, so that's why I think you should be using Parish Online. But we'll show you, what I'd like to do now is show you some case studies of what other people have used Parish Online for. In general terms, it can be used as a permanent digital record. So referencing those benches again, if you've got stuff saved into a cloud service, you can rely on us that information is there, safe, secure, completely safe. So you can create that permanent record and regularly maintain it as you need to reduce your reliance on paper copies. You've got that easy transition between clerks and councillors as they come on and off the ship. And it gives you a visibility of your records by the whole council. The amount of time that we've been told anecdotally that Parish Online has saved just by, in a meeting, showing a map of the planning application they want to talk about has saved so much time. There's no which roundabout we're talking about here. It's just that one. Right, let's get on with it. Next item on the agenda. So yeah, having that digital record is very important. And coming on for that, for consultations or meetings that parishes have, being able to assess a planning application or assess a new scheme or some new housing or a neighbourhood plan, whatever it is, you need that information to be able to make an informed decision. So when a planning application comes in, and in this fake example, we've got, some farmer wants to build a new building here, we can switch on the flood risk, we can switch on the ancient woodlands, and we can switch on the SSSIs, and we can get a good view of whether that planning application is going to be, first of all, within any of these risk areas, or whether it's going to be nearby. And that's actually different to if you get a report where it says, no, that property is not within an ancient woodland. And you go, oh, jolly good. But actually it's really close. And that potentially has an impact on that thing that you're trying to protect. So having a map gives you the context of that particular application and will hopefully allow you to make a better decision on it. So planning applications is a big thing. We've seen a lot of parishes now who use Parish Online as almost the PowerPoint alternative, where they're just zooming into different areas and say, right, let's talk about this one, let's talk about this one, let's talk about this one. And it makes everything go a lot smoother. Another example is in neighbourhood planning. So this is a huge part of what Parish Online is used for at the moment. And again, it's because a picture paints 1,000 words. And if you can build up information about your parish using mapping, then you can better communicate what you're trying to show off, what constraints you're trying to put in place. So Brixworth are one of the first parishes to take this on. They put in lots of layers of information where their settlement boundaries were and what the environmental constraints were, and also what they wanted to do in the area. And by simply drawing an area around a field, putting this is where we're going to put houses, the public can understand that, your colleagues can understand that, and it makes the whole thing a lot more efficient. So Brixworth were great. They took screenshots of the maps and put it into their neighbourhood plan document, and it backs up each paragraph. So they said, this is what we want to do here, and here's a map to show why. And that was a really powerful way of doing it. It can also be used for kind of maintenance and kind of strategic projects here. So this parish down in Freshford in Somerset, they used it as an opportunity to map where all the signs were in the parish, because they were getting really cheesed off with the local authority coming in and putting in duplicate signs because there was no communication between the two. So they put out their own map and color coded them all to what type of sign they were, and then they could see where there were clusters and see where they could reduce the signage to make it clearer and safer in their village. You want to, first of all, make sure the sign's clear, and secondly, make it safe for people. So, and also maybe not ruin the nice stone wall. So that was a good exercise there in making the parish a nicer place to be. And also, parishes want to attract tourists to their area. I reckon most parishes will have something interesting to say about about their local town or village. And Netherstowe were one of those. And they were, you imagine this is a kind of A5 postcard. They put lots of historical information about Netherstowe and backed that up with a map showing where all the interesting things were and where they could walk, with that one on the bottom right, showing where they can go about. And that just added to that little card that someone who's come to the area popped into the post office or the local shop and could take that with them. And so with your Parish Online subscription, you're completely able to do that. Anything that is your parish business, and promoting tourism and things is one of those, to generate income for your local area and your local shops, is to use the mapping for it. Okay, and so we could spend the next 4 hours going over lots of different case studies, but needless to say, there are lots of different ways that you can use Parish Online. So if you can go onto our website and have a look, go onto here, and there's these little filters at the top, which will filter down to things that you might be interested in. So you're interested in neighbourhood plans, click on that, and it will show you some neighbourhood plan case studies of other parishes who have used Parish Online.